Notice the journeys. Notice the struggles. Notice the success. Notice that we are much more than just athletes. You've heard the stories, but not quite like this. New episodes weekly on Thursday. It's time for the world to take notice.
Yeah, how's everybody doing out there? It's Duane Notice, the host of Take Notice. And this week we have a very special episode. And it's only right that I got someone that I've grown up with, seen him come out the womb, my blood brother, Marcus Carr. We're not doing a Zoom interview today. Today, we're doing an in-person interview. It's very rare that my brother and I get to be in the same place at the same time, so we want to capture this moment and make it very special and take advantage of it. So we had a very secret, special location, chilling by the pool, and without further ado, let's get it cracking. This is my brother, Marcus Carr. What's up, man?
What's going on? How's everybody doing? Like you said, I'm here with my brother. Really just excited for this. Like you said, it's not often we're together, so just to be able to take advantage of this and kind of just have a conversation we'd normally have, but kind of just do it in front of the camera for you guys. So I'm excited.
Yeah, so piggybacking off that, just talking about how rare it is for us to be in the same space at the same time. Let's just talk about the origin. So obviously, I know our story because I've been through it, but we can just talk about our family history and everything like that. A lot of people didn't know that we were brothers, especially at St. Mike's at our high school, and just due to the fact that we have different last names. So if you want to just touch on that, like what kind of impact did that have in your, not only your life but also your basketball career?
Yeah, it was definitely super different. Just going from a place where being around family, being around friends. Obviously, they all know we're brothers, and then kind of going to school, and it's kind of nobody knew. We were kind of both in our own worlds. He was a senior, and I was in grade 7, so kind of just going to school every day and going our separate ways. That's kind of how it was. But looking back at it, I think it was definitely a positive. Getting the chance to be my own, just be my own person, not necessarily being in his shadow. Because at St. Mike's, obviously he was doing his thing with basketball and everything. He was definitely a spotlight at the school, and everybody definitely knew who he was. So, to not have that kind of little brother stigma growing up and being able to just be me quietly was definitely something I felt was good for me. And then, later on people started to figure it out, but, by then he was gone, and, the timing pretty much worked out. I was able to, kind of become my own person over there, so it was good.
Yeah, you definitely have just, being your own man, also being your own basketball player. We also have different styles of games. And then off the court, we probably two different people when it comes to just how we are personality-wise. But let's just talk about what got you into basketball. Like, what was your major influences? Like, when did you really start thinking that, basketball was a sport for you to play? Because I remember growing up, personally, I never played in many sports. Like, I was strictly basketball. My mom tried to sign me up for other sports, and I was like, nah, I'm not having it. Like, I'm just playing basketball. But you play organized football where you actually put the pads on and everything. So just talk about what really got you into basketball in the first place, and then why that it was something that you wanted to carry out.
Yeah, for sure. Just being a little brother, starting out, tagging along with him, going to his practices. Kind of, it was like once I went to the first one, I'm like 4 years old, and I kind of just seen what was going on. He's my big brother. I kind of just want to be like him. So seeing him playing and going out there doing his thing, I'll just be on the side shooting all the time on the basket, and kind of just, I wanted to follow in his footsteps, emulate him. So that's how I picked up a basketball, and I liked it. It was kind of something fun for me to do. It was a good hobby. But as I grew older, like you said, I played soccer as well. I played football all the way up until the end of my 10th grade year. So that was definitely a fun experience for me as well. Just playing other sports, being able to use different skills, and then they kind of cross over and translate anywhere you go. Kind of, I attest my physicality to that in my basketball. Just being, able to play football and the physicality of that sport, then bringing it on the court. So I definitely think playing different sports had a good effect on me, just being a basketball player. But in terms of why I picked up a ball, is pretty much all to him, just tagging along his practices, being the younger brother, just wanted to be just like him. And as I played more and more, then my love for the game just grew more and more, and I just got to a point in high school where it's kind of like a crossroads. It's like, it's either I'm going to take this thing really seriously, or I'm going to keep dabbling in other things. And I decided to really take it seriously and make it my own.
Yeah, you have continuing to hone your craft. It's really incredible just seeing the young man you're becoming, but also the young talent you're becoming. Just like when preparation kind of meets opportunity, you always, show yourself on the major stage. So, yeah, talking about just kind of, I appreciate you, sending the ode to me, the respect that, why you picked up a basketball. We had a lot of driveway battles, and I know this is probably the number one question on everyone's mind is like, who's better one-on-one? But to be quite honest, because, I left for prep school, and then I went to university right after that, and then you went to prep school, we haven't really like had a serious one-on-one game since I went to university, and then after when he went to university, like we still to this day have not had like a serious one-on-one game. So it's like a real hard question to answer. Obviously, I would say I'm better, but my brother's really cold, so I don't really know. But if you just want to talk about like how our styles of game is different when it comes to basketball, like we're really able to, and again, we haven't even played together that much outside of like maybe one all-star game or just for fun, but speaking of my friend Tyler Ennis and Dylan Ennis, how they had the opportunity to play against each other and with each other on a major stage in the NCAA, that's definitely something that I wish that I was able to do. But, going forward in the future, we're going to have opportunities to play each other. Let's talk about your style of play kind of just compared to my style of play.
All right. Well, I think, a lot of stuff has to do with me being the little brother. So kind of just like you said, driveway battles or even playing with all of his friends, I always kind of wanted to just be involved and be with them. So I was always trying to play with them, and they would rough me up, tough me up. And, I couldn't get to the basket. I was too little. So I know just shooting was always a big part of my game from when I was young, because it was like the only way I'm going to be on the team, I'm going to be on his team, he's going to pick me, is if, I'm going to knock down shots. Otherwise, I can't do nothing else. I'm too little. I can't guard. I can't get to the rim. So I knew I had to shoot it early. So I think, that's kind of where the majority of my outside game comes from, just being young and just want to be able to play. So I know, I got to be able to knock down shots to be on the court. And then I would say he definitely grew faster than me. He was bigger earlier.
Yeah.
So I kind of was more focused on point guard skills at a younger age, I would say. And then, kind of just focused on a lot about running the team, being the leader. Kind of had to learn that stuff, early on, being younger, as opposed to him. He was always the bigger guy and, was a slasher, getting to the rim and everything like that. And then over time, he was able to get both. And now, you're a combo. So I think we definitely have a lot of similarities, I would say, too, just like physicality, just our body types and stuff like that. But, we definitely have our differences as well.
For me growing up, obviously, when we weren't playing video games, PS2 or the Game Boy or whatever, we weren't hooping in the driveway. We were watching the Raptors, and having the Raptors, especially Vince Carter, being just a focal point and kind of just showing us that how far basketball could take us. Who are some of the players that kind of got you into basketball? Like, I really loved Allen Iverson just because of the way he was able to emulate both off the court culture and mix it with basketball, and just because he had that mentality of just being an underdog and just being small, but still having the heart of a giant, able to work hard. And then Vince Carter, like I said, putting basketball on the map for us Canadians. Who are some of the players that you kind of looked up to at a young age?
Definitely, like you said, obviously early on, Vince, just being on the hometown team, making the game so exciting, coming to impress every single night. Watching the Raptors, you're going to see something amazing from him. And then, like you said, Allen Iverson, I just used to love. He was a little guy, and like I said, I was the little guy, so I just loved how tough he was. I used to love how he was always just hitting the floor and coming right back up. I remember I was little, I would do layups and fall down for no reason, just because I wanted to hit the ground like him and just show like I'm tough, I could get back up. So definitely those two guys. And then of course, being young, kind of LeBron came into the league right at that same time, and that's been my favorite player for a really long time. Just seeing LeBron, his ascension through the league and his dominance for 17 seasons now is crazy. So I'll definitely say those are the top three guys for me.
In our household, when it comes to you and I, music-wise, everybody doesn't know, but we listen to a lot of old school music. We listen to everything. We have a wide variety of music that we listen to, from Sade and Erykah Badu to Tribe Called Quest to the classic Jay-Z albums to Nas, and it goes on so forth and so forth to like we listen to a lot of old school music. Like, we have old souls. So just talk about what it means to be born in the 99, like literally last of a dying breed. I was 94 and you was 99. What does it feel like to be in the 90s, coming up the 90s?
Yeah, I know, like some of us, sometimes people try to give us a lot of hate because they're like, you guys barely made it, but I'm gonna claim it every time. But I definitely think it was a great thing. I kind of am right before that shift of, to what younger kids are now, and obviously like having an older brother, just wanting to be with him and with his crowd, just always wanted to be older, so I was always into whatever he was into. And I just remember, when it came to TV shows and stuff like that, like I'm sneaking up to stay up late to watch whatever he's watching, watch the Boondocks, like watching stuff I shouldn't be watching when I was young. But I definitely appreciate it as well, because I think my music taste definitely comes from you. I remember like the first 2 albums I really like was able to listen to and like comprehend was like the Carter 3 and Graduation. Like, if that's your music introduction, that's pretty solid. So I definitely would attest that to him. And then just growing up in the house, like our parents too definitely had, they didn't always want to show it, but they were young too, so they had great music taste. Mom's always had the Tupac albums,
the Brandy album,
Brandy, 112, like just great music was always playing in the house, and family functions, always great music. So that's definitely a huge part of us just growing up and just having music involved in everything we were doing.
Yeah, so just continuing about how our paths were kind of different. I really, really wanted to go to prep school, but at the time, just coming from a Jamaican background, both of us having parents that were born and raised in Jamaica and coming over at a later age, we kind of weren't educated when it came to basketball, in the sense that we didn't know how far we could take it, especially being young Canadians. So I was frustrated just back in the day. I think, Corey Joseph, shout out to my bro, Corey Joseph, Tristan Thompson were kind of like the first guys to kind of go to prep school. And then I really wanted to follow the footsteps. But at the time, like I said, our parents weren't really educated. And being the older brother, I was always kind of like the guinea pig of, all right, Duane's going to be the trial and error. We're going to see if we do it this route. And if it's not successful, we're going to put Marcus through it. And I think that was like the beauty of just having like the relationship we have, is that, if I do something that doesn't work, then you know what not to do. And if I do something that does work, then you follow this in your own footsteps, but in your own way. So, I wasn't able to go to prep school because my mom wasn't really having it. And so I went to St. Mike's route. St. Mike's route. And then you also went to St. Mike's, but then you went to prep school at a young age, Montverde Academy in Florida. So just talk about your experience going to prep school. Do you think it was worth it? Do you think it helped you? And then from there, like, not everybody knows, but we have, a grandma, an aunt who lives in Orlando. So, it kind of served as like a home base for you as well when you were in Florida going to school. So just talk about your experience playing with RJ Barrett, playing for Montverde Academy.
It was definitely a great experience. Kind of like he said, I was able to kind of, get out of there earlier than he was. But yeah, going to prep school was something I wanted to do. I was super excited, even at the opportunity to have that, because I know a lot of kids don't have that. So I was super excited at the opportunity, especially when I knew that Montverde was interested. It was kind of like a dream come true, being in Canada. Like we said, we didn't always get to see things. So it's just on YouTube or on Ball is Life and Hoop Mixtape, watching these guys go crazy, playing on TV, playing on ESPN, and we didn't have those opportunities at home. So to go from watching that on YouTube every day, just wanting to be like those guys, to having the opportunity to attend that school was surreal for me. And like you said, got to play with a couple of my Canadian counterparts, RJ, Simi, Andrew. Going over there with them also made the transition easier. Being at school every day, having people I've known almost my whole life with me, going through that with me. And then, like you said, obviously having grandma there, she'll come on the weekends, drop me off some home-cooked meals.
Yeah, they go crazy. They fire.
Go crazy. I always have my oxtail every Friday. Shout out to grandma for that. And then, when we weren't playing or practicing, like, I was able to go over there and kind of spend the weekends with my grandmother and my family. So that definitely made mom a lot more comfortable too, allowing me to go to school. Because we were looking at a few places, but going to Florida, being close to Orlando, being close to my grandma, definitely gave my mom like a lot of comfort.
Our grandma is probably like the biggest basketball enthusiast you've ever met in your life. She's constantly sending us our game stats. If I have a game where I shot like 4 for 17 or something horrible like that, best believe my grandma's calling me
on it
10 times, missed calls before I even step off the court, and texting me long paragraphs talking about, what's going on with me. Like, why am I shooting so poorly? I should have went to the left when I went right. Like, she's really in depth when it comes to that. She's literally like our Woj. Like, she's always sending me articles about my brother. She's always sending me articles first when somebody gets traded. Like, she was the one who broke the Kawhi and the Paul George news to me before I even knew. And I was in Las Vegas for the NBA Summer League with the Raptors, and she knew before me. So, she's definitely one of our biggest supporters and also one of our biggest motivations as well, our grandma. All right, so now it's halftime. So halftime, we do a segment, play on my last name, basically Notice My Steez. So I'm just going to ask you maybe 5 to 10 questions about your favorites, and we'll just go from there. So, favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time? You know, I gotta throw it back with the Like Mike. Used to have that on repeat. Like we would sit in the crib and just literally watch it over and over again. The only time we would stop was to eat, or like they'd make us go play outside for a little bit. But you know, we were watching Like Mike and Space Jam on repeat.
Exactly.
Definitely gotta go with Like Mike.
What's your favorite shoes right now? Basketball and then leisure, walking around.
I've been playing in a lot of old Kobe's, and obviously, you know, rest in peace to Kobe, rest in peace to Gigi and everybody who was involved in that accident. But even before that happened, I kind of just remember, you know, the comfortability of those shoes playing when I was younger. And this season, I kind of just wanted to throw it back, so I was playing in a bunch of old Kobe's, and I'll probably say the Kobe 9s is my favorite. The Bruce Lee joints. I got those. Had a couple good games in those, so they always feel good. Those are definitely probably my favorite hooping shoe. And as far as walking around in, that's totally, you gotta, like, you can never go wrong with a 1. Jordan 1 is like, you can never go wrong. They go every fit, dress it up, dress it down. Colorways is crazy, so
that's a fact.
Definitely gotta give it to the Jordan 1.
That's a fact. All right, favorite meal.
Favorite meal. Go to every time. Oxtail, every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time. Favorite album of all time.
I'll have to say Forest Hills Drive, just because I got the chance to see it in concert too. So like, experiencing the album when it first came out, amazing. It was crazy. Platinum, no features. The storytelling was amazing. And I just really resonated with it. And then kind of at the end of the summer, just getting the chance to see him perform that live in concert at OVO was amazing. So that's up there with me. That's my top one.
Yeah, it's always interesting. Like, I mean, obviously J. Cole is cold at what he does. Amazing artist, amazing when it comes to what he does. But it's always intense. Like, when you see someone in concert, it's crazy how much it elevates your knowledge for and appreciation for their music and them as a performer. So that kind of happened with me with Ty Dolla $ign. I wasn't really a fan. Saw him in concert, and I grew a whole different amount of respect for him. And now I'm a huge fan. But favorite TV show right now?
Favorite TV show right now? How to Get Away with Murder last season. I'm watching the latest season right now. I'm always into that, so that's my favorite right now.
Yeah, you put me on Blacklist, which I've been knocking out.
Yeah, scratch that. It's a Blacklist. Scratch that. I don't know how.
It's intense. Has me up every night watching it.
Crazy.
Raymond Reddington is something serious.
For real.
Favorite artist?
Favorite artist of all time?
Yeah. We can do all time and then right now as well.
Favorite artist all time is Wayne. Like, I'm going to say that every time.
Yeah, hands down. It's
every
not even
time.
a question.
It's not even close.
Like, I wouldn't even let my household listen to nothing but Wayne. Like, we listen to Wayne. That's like the only music back in the days that my mom would let us listen to that had cursing in it. Like, that's how respected he was. That, like, even my moms and everybody was kind of listening to his music for what it was. So, yeah, but I'm a huge Wayne fan. But yeah, go ahead.
Huge Wayne fan. And then if we go on current right now, it's Baby.
Yeah, by far.
He can't miss.
Yeah. Yeah, he's tough.
He's in that upper echelon right now.
Puts out great material on a consistent basis. He's literally like becoming a Wayne reincarnated, depending on how long his run lasts for. But
his crazy.
His run is like parallel to when Wayne was killing stuff in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s. All right, so halftime's over. Back onto the court. Do you have a superstitious act before a game or a habit, or are you superstitious at all? Like, I know me personally. I mean, I like to. You're a sneakerhead. You have a lot of shoes. Like, I love shoes, but you take it to a whole nother appreciation, and a level that's just crazy. But I like to switch up shoes every couple of games. But if I have like a 20-piece after 2-3 games, I like to stay in that shoe for a little bit until I have a bad game and then change it up. You do something like that. I like to drink coffee before the game. I like to listen to Wayne, certain music before the game. Do you do anything like that?
Yeah, I have a few different things. So like, I don't know, I always tie my left shoe before my right and put on my left shoe before my, like, everything goes left to right. And then, you know, I meditate before every game.
Big time.
Just taking that time to get right with myself, visualize everything I'm about to do, and kind of just makes the game easier, slows it down for me. So definitely been getting into that. And kind of like, I would say I wouldn't play more than 3 games in the shoe.
Yeah.
What, like back to back?
Yeah.
No, for sure. I'll definitely play in a shoe if I love it. If I love the way it feels. Like you said, if I have a good game, like I'll play in it more than one time for the season, but never like 2-3 games in a row. I'll switch it up all the time unless I know like these 2 games is like grinders. Like we need these ones. Like these is my most durable shoe. I have to do everything in these shoes. Like I'm like, all right, I'll wear these back to back. But other than that, I try to switch it up pretty often. Just got to show the heat a little bit, just a little bit, look good, feel good, play good. So probably just those things.
Talk about that season, what the transition was for you. Basically going to college, the style of basketball is different from, you played Team Canada before, it's different from playing FIBA, it's different from playing high school. What was the major difference you felt, like the challenges of you going to college and playing at that level, and then also talk about what happened and why you had to leave and go to the University of Minnesota?
Going into university, obviously that transition from high school, it's pretty big. No matter who you are, it's just about how quickly you get adjusted to it. And going in, I was kind of thrown into the fire just because obviously you have these expectations of playing, and you want these things to happen for yourself. But once you get there and you realize all it takes to really be that and get into that, it is a lot. I kind of had to grow up really fast. Even though I was a freshman, I'm a point guard. So at the end of the day, even if I'm not designated team captain, I still got to be able to lead those guys out there. So that was a huge thing. I was pretty much, I don't really have like a late birthday, but I was a young kid. I was 17 as a freshman coming into college. So it was definitely a huge adjustment for me. Just I'm talking to, you have grad transfer seniors that are 23, 24, I'm 17. Like, bro, this age difference is crazy. Like, I'm playing against grown men, whereas, I just came from high school where I'm one of the older people. I'm in high school, I was physical, I was big, I was considered strong, and then, I got to college and I'm the smallest guy out there. So, that adjustment alone, and then the athletes are way better, driving lanes, you think they're there. You think you're open, dude's coming over beating your shot off the backboard. It's like, bro, he was just all the way over here. Like, how he rotate that fast, and just going through those summers and those practices leading up to the season was definitely huge. I felt like I grew a lot, in order to prepare me to kind of be the starting point guard for that year. And it was a tough year. It was a turnover year. Coach Stallings came in. We were his real first recruiting class, so that was his second year there. We were kind of getting into the flow of things. We were trying to start something special. We knew the first year was going to be tough. Not that tough, but we knew it was going to be tough. So, we were kind of just head down mentality, just keep chipping away, keep grinding, and we knew what we were going to build was going to be something special. So we were still optimistic about the year and the seasons going forward. But, after that year, and, it kind of was a disappointing year, but to us, we kind of were still looking forward. But, administration didn't really see it that way, and they decided to fire Coach Stallings, and kind of just seeing how that whole process went down and everything that was going on, having a new coach come in, you kind of never really know. You never really know. You're not his player, you're not his guy, you're not his recruit, you don't really know what's going on. And kind of just overall, just didn't like the feeling that I had there, ending off that year, and kind of just talked with my family, talked to my circle, and we felt like it was going to be best to move on. And then once I decided I was going to transfer, kind of just went through the whole recruiting process again a year later. This time it was much shorter. Had to make a decision, and went with Minnesota, and thought I was going to be able to play. Submitted a waiver to the NCAA, and that was a whole situation. Kind of blew up a little bit. It was all over Twitter. Jay Billis and Nikki V and stuff. Everybody was tweeting. It was kind of surreal because it's like, you grow up. You're hearing Dick Vitale calling games and stuff, and it's kind of like, you would love for him to be saying your name, but then it's kind of under the wrong circumstances. Like, it's not because of my play, it's not because, I'm in the game and I'm playing well, it's not because I'm in the tournament, it's because, I'm trying to fight to get on the court. So that was definitely a frustrating year, just sitting out, not being able to play, even though I'm physically able. But, that year definitely taught me a lot. I think I learned a lot, and it helped me going into this year playing on the court, just learning the little facets of the game that you won't notice when you're playing, just because you kind of just look over it. But when you're just straight watching for a whole year, it's kind of like you pick up on every little detail, all these little different things that could really make a difference. So I think adding those things to my game was really the biggest thing for me.
No, I think I went to see you play in Minnesota, and just seeing your growth from Pittsburgh. Cause I went to a couple of games. I went to you spazzed when you guys were in Chapel Hill playing against UNC. I was in South Carolina at the time, so I was able to drive down or drive up to see him play. And I think I also went to Clemson when y'all played Clemson. It was a tough schedule. ACC, man, you playing a dog every night, you know. But obviously, you grew a lot, and then sitting out probably did a wonder for you mentally. Just watching different, game film and tape, and being able to just watch from the sideline and kind of pick apart different aspects of basketball that you probably aren't able to do while you're playing. Being at Minnesota, it was good because you averaged some crazy statistics this year. Doing an amazing job on the court, not only scoring the ball but distributing the ball. Setting records, doing different things for your school. But outside of that, rest in peace to George Floyd. There was, the unfortunate incident that happened there, and that was kind of like the pinnacle of what started, what we are now in right now, which is just a crazy movement in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement and all the stuff that's going on between the social injustices, between the looting, the rioting, between the, the police brutality and things of that nature. So talk about how it was just, you were in Minnesota when that stuff was going down. Just talk about the atmosphere there, talk about what your mindset was, and just talk about if being from Canada, we don't see a lot of that stuff. And, obviously problems happen everywhere in the world, but we are blessed enough to be in a country where it's a melting pot and it's very diverse. So being in the States, I know for me, I went to University of South Carolina. You've been there, the South, and it's intense. Like you're used to seeing black or white. You don't really see other cultures. Whereas we're Jamaican, we have friends who are Italian. We have friends who are from other Caribbean countries. Just kind of give advice to your younger self and to another kid who's gearing up to go play in the States that has to think about other stuff outside of basketball. Obviously, what's going on culturally and stuff.
If I was talking to somebody, I would just tell them, it's everything that you're accustomed to. It's really just not the same. You kind of have to go there and observe it for yourself before you really learn how to kind of maneuver and operate. You got to understand, it's not the same as it is at home for us. Like you said, there's problems everywhere. Stuff happens here too, but just not on the same scale that it does over there. So, just witnessing everything that goes on over there, you kind of just got to take it in, understand how to maneuver. Like kind of we were talking about earlier, we've had those talks with our parents where it's like, don't do this, don't do that. You're a young black man in America. Like these things, can lead to a very different road than you ever thought. So, just always trying to keep it in the back of your mind that, look, you're a young black man in America. Like certain things and certain people view you a certain way, and you can't not necessarily let that not like have an effect where you don't live your life, but kind of just understand on a daily basis, like there's certain people who are watching you in a different light than you view yourself. So as far as just being in Minnesota, when that whole thing popped off, it was crazy. It just felt heavy. It's like you were outside and you just felt the weight, and I got the chance to go to the memorial, and that was really heavy for me, just being where it all happened and seeing all the murals and all the different kind of dedications to his life, his memory, his family. There's people out there nonstop. Like it was busy for hours upon hours. People just coming by, paying their respects. It just felt real heavy. That's the best way I could describe it. And it was a real emotional time just thinking about, obviously seeing the video, that video being everywhere, plastered everywhere. That it invokes a lot of emotion and kind of thoughts. So just being able to be in that place was definitely very heavy for me. I just sat there with my thoughts, paid my respects, kind of just thought about why this is happening, and honestly, kind of like we say all the time, it could be any of us, could have been any of us. So just thanking the Lord that it wasn't me as well, and that I'm blessed to be in a position where I might be able to be away from a lot of those things a lot of the times, but it could be me, it could be anybody. So just thinking about that, kind of taking that all in, and realizing the place that we're in today, and kind of how I can be a person who kind of champions change in my own way. You don't necessarily, not everybody's an activist or a person who's going to lead the charge on a lot of things, but you can definitely make changes, in your everyday life and your interactions that, can not only affect yourself, but the people around you as well. So I think just, that whole situation made me realize how much of an impact I can have, just being me by myself and everything that I say and everything that I do. So that was a huge thing for me.
It's very interesting because as basketball players, we have a platform where we're looked at on a pedestal in a certain way. So we're held at a high standard, high regard. So if we're able to kind of educate not only ourselves but educate the people closest to us, like you said, it definitely goes a long way. And just to piggyback on what he said earlier, he was just talking about our parents, our mother and our father. Basically, was just talking about little things from how to deal with police when you get pulled over, or like not to wear a hoodie at nighttime, or when you walk into a building, like take off your hood, or little things that as kids we probably didn't really understand and we weren't really receptive to. But like the older we are, and the older we got, it's starting to resonate more and more, especially being down in the South. At every level, you face adversity, whether it's not playing, whether it's being in Minnesota. Transferring to Minnesota, not being able to play for a whole year. Whether it's you're at Montverde and you tore your ACL, which is crazy. I'm dealing with an injury myself, tore my Achilles a month ago, and so you reached out to me as soon as it happened. You're watching me play. We always watch each other's games, and you gave me advice. And it's crazy how the ties kind of changed, like me mentoring you, and now you serving like as an inspiration to me, just to help get me through this injury and this tough time in my career. But just talk about how you've been through different obstacles in your life in terms of just literally every level you played at, you had adversity, and you've been able to push through every time.
Of me just being able to get through it, period, was just like leaning on my circle, leaning on my brother, my mom, just my family, the people closest to me. They got me through a tough time. Like you said, I was at Montverde my first year before the season even started. I tore my ACL in practice, so that was definitely super tough for me. Just going to a new school, trying to adjust, only knowing a few people, then finally started getting comfortable on the court, started playing well. Things were kind of just looking up, and then boom, kind of happened, kind of similar to you in your situation. You're playing well, and then boom, that happened. So that was definitely super tough. And then I didn't go home when it happened. So having to go through that, I had my grandmother, of course, nurse me right after my injury. And but once I went back to school, it was kind of like, man, I'm on my own.
Yeah.
So kind of just going through that, there was a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages, group chats, just trying to stay in good spirits and trying to not be down about it, but just kind of attack it and understand that, I'm just going to do my best to come back bigger, better, stronger. That's really just what got me through that. And then my circle has just been there all the time through everything. So no matter what I was dealing with, whether it was sitting out, whether it was being injured, I was kind of just leaning on them letting me know that, you're always going to be the same person. This doesn't define you. You can come back from whatever it is. Having this, just the circle that I have, I'm really blessed to have it, because to be honest, I don't know where I would be without it. I don't know, what I would be doing. Not just the advice, but the support is just huge. It's been key. So, like you said, it's a little weird now that, unfortunately you're hurt, but,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I could give him some pointers just about, the process and how difficult it may be, and certain times and things might not be looking positive, but, you still got to take it day by day, and that would be my biggest advice, just take it a day at a time.
Yeah, injuries are a part of the game, unfortunately, that we love. But at the end of the day, it's like we got to do what we can do to kind of just get through every situation, especially because there's worse situations out there that's happening in the world. So dealing with your injury, you learned a lot of things. Like you talked about meditation. I know you spoke about that a lot towards me and Mom. I've been doing yoga, meditation as well. Different aspects in terms of me just journaling every day, whether it's about my basketball, whether it's about my diet, whether it's about my goals and aspirations. I know you read too. I read a lot. Like, what are some of the things that you did outside of basketball that helped you on the court in terms of like meditation and things like that? Like, talk about how that could really seriously impact your life and you as a basketball player for other kids out there who just think it's always about what you do on the court.
Right. What you do on the court is just as important as what you do off the court. A large part of the conversations that I have is, not only just going hard on the court, training in the weight room and everything like that, but also, taking the necessary time for yourself to just be away from the game from a little bit, because, you love the game, you're a junkie, you're always around it, and that's all you know. It's kind of like you can kind of get lost in it. And then when things like this happen, injuries, unfortunately, or even, the whole COVID-19 situation around the world, and kind of in the beginning when everything just stopped and nobody was playing, it's kind of like, you kind of just sit back and think like, who am I outside of basketball? Like, if basketball is not going on, what am I going to have going on? So, being able to visualize what you want, see your goals so that you're able to go after them. You know, it's hard to go after something you can't see.
Exactly.
Shout out Dom Kennedy. It's hard to go after something you can't see.
Yeah.
So, you know, just meditating, visualizing, you know, when it comes to on the court, just, you know, visualizing the kind of game you want to have, the spots, you know what your spots are, getting to your spots. You, like you said, you do scouts before the game, you know what kind of defense they're going to play, you know how they're going to come out and try and attack you. So just visualizing, you know, beating all those different things, and kind of once the game comes, you know, sometimes it's kind of scary. I often visualize like a play,
Yeah.
and me doing something very specific,
Yeah.
and then it will happen in the game, and it's like, dang. Or it's like a shot that I envision taking, and I'll hit it in the game, and it's like, I made this because 2 hours ago before the game when I was sitting in the locker room meditating, like I saw this and I saw it go in. So now when I shot it and it was game time, it was kind of like I've done this already.
Yeah.
So I think that was once I realized that started happening, it became a huge part of my game. And now I do it every single time I'm about to play. So definitely something I feel like all hoopers should, you know, look into, read about, and kind of just invest in yourself.
It's imperative what you said, just writing things down, visualizing it allows you to kind of obtain these goals, because now it's something that's tangible and you hold yourself accountable. If you don't write these things down, if you don't visualize it, then it's harder for you to hold yourself accountable. And you know, you continue to preach about having a tight circle. I think it's a really dope dynamic that you and I have with our family and everything like that. We have a great, strong support system, from cousins to aunts to uncles to our parents to whatever the case may be. But let's just talk about GOG and what that means to you. You have a solid, group of friends that, I feel like really impact your life often on the court. And, me, I have OFT, I have about five, really, really close best friends that I've known for over a decade now. And so talk about, GOG, what that means to you, and just like what that consists of.
Right. And kind of similar to what you said, I have 5 friends that, kind of close-knit. The basketball community in Canada is really small. We grow up playing, we're all playing against each other, we all kind of know each other, so we were able to play against each other. We kind of went from rivals to best friends, just growing up playing with each other, always seeing each other, kind of realized we had the same interests, whether it came to music or clothes, fashion, shoes, and obviously sharing the same passion for basketball. So I was able to gladly, I've had the same friends for about 8-9 years now. That's pretty rare, and we're in it for the long haul. So GOG is definitely something that's very special to me. Shout out Jonathan Kabongo, John Kende, Jabril Price Noel, Malik Kennedy, Keyshawn Saunders. Those are my guys right there. With it to the end.
Little bros.
With it to the end, but as far as my circle, they're included in it, and we kind of keep each other grounded. We can always come to each other with anything, and I feel like that's important. Whether it's your family or a friend group that you have, you gotta have those people you can talk to about anything. And luckily for me, I have a plethora. I got quite a few. I got my mom, got my parents, grandma, got my brother, and then my friend group. So I'm blessed to have that, and I'm thankful for those guys every single day.
It's always good to have that unconditional love, that unconditional care, because like you said, people to keep you grounded, people that will keep it real with you all the time, always keep it 100 with you. We talked about mom, we talked about grandma already cussing us out for bad games. We both been in situations where mom has literally, we were kids, come out onto the court at halftime and be like, listen, I didn't drive all the way out here to see you score 2 points at half, pick it up.
Facts.
So, just having that kind of circle to keep us grounded.
Put on notice, segment of the show, ended regulation. Basically, it's overtime. We're going to put on 24 seconds on the shot clock, and we're going to ask different questions. So put on notice, is this or that? Daps or hugs?
Gaps for sure.
Fresh Prince or Martin?
Fresh Prince.
Red wine or white wine?
White.
Sushi or pizza?
Sushi.
LeBron or Michael Jordan?
LeBron.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Tupac or Biggie?
I'm going Biggie.
Juice or soda?
Juice.
Would you rather get dunked on or would you rather get crossed?
Definitely crossed. I'm not jumping. I'm not jumping. You never catch me.
All right, and last question. Would you rather catch a body or would you rather cross somebody?
Catch a body, just 'cause I'm a low guy, so people
Yeah.
are not going to expect it. I can,
Okay.
if I catch a body, it's probably going to be on SportsCenter.
Okay. Oh, okay. Actually, I got 2 more. I know this is the ball went out of bounds.
It's a timeout.
Timeout.
You got some extra
14
time.
seconds on the shot clock now. R&B or hip hop?
R&B.
Dunks or retro J's?
Retro J's. Dunks is tough though. Dunks is tough.
Twitter or IG?
IG. Don't even got Twitter.
I like it. Netflix or Amazon Prime? Yeah.
Ooh, Netflix sting.
Like I said, it's very rare for us to be, let alone in the same city, let alone country at the same time, because either I'm doing something in the States with basketball, whether it's playing the NBA G League and he's in university, or whether it's I'm overseas with Team Canada and he's holding it down, Canada doing something over here on that aspect. But when we get to share, you know, the same space, it's always rare, but it's always amazing. I appreciate it, you know, my little brother, who's, you know, basically like my little big brother, someone that, you know, I like to consider myself as a mentor to, but also like I look up to him as well. It's definitely someone that inspires me, from his character to his play on the court, and I'm just excited that, you know, the world gets to see him for truly who he is. And I appreciate you coming on Take Notice, and hopefully we'll have you back on for season 2.
Sure.
Yes, sir.